Okay, this is the notes video for equations of lines in the coordinate plane. The objective is that you guys will be able to calculate slope, graph lines, and write equations in slope-intercept form given 2 points. All of this you should be able to do, or you should remember how to do in some way. If you took Algebra 1 last year, you guys should have done a little bit of this. I'm not sure when it was in the year or if it was over COVID things, but you should have seen it. And Algebra 2, you guys have definitely seen this before because I taught that last year and I know. So just a couple real life examples here. We have carpenters will do a roof or a staircase, and that is determined by the pitch, which is the slope. A grade, when you're driving like through the mountains, it will say, you know, a grade of 8% or whatever, and that is calculated by the slope of the road. So slope is labeled as M, and it is the ratio of the vertical change, which is your rise, to the horizontal change, which is your run. Rise goes up and down, run goes left and right. So what you guys need to write down is the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And you can, if you set it up, you can have it as y1 minus y2. You just need to make sure that your x1 follows that, your x's follow the same pattern. You can't have y2 minus y1 and then do x1 minus x2. That does not work. You will not get the correct slope. So example number 1, what is the slope of this line? So you have this picture. So what we're going to do is plug it in to my y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we have 5 minus a negative 1 and 3 minus a negative 2. Because we have minus negatives, we flip that to plus a positive. So our answer would be 6 over 5. For the next one, you have 2 points. What is the slope of the line between the points 4, negative 6 and 7, positive 2? So plug that into your formula. 2 minus a negative 6 over 7 minus 4. This would change to plus a positive, so you would have 8 over 3. Both of those cannot simplify anymore, so you would just leave it like that. If you had like 4 over 1, you would want to simplify it to 4, and so forth. You guys try A and B, pause your video, and then you can check your answers with me once you're done. So, A would be set up as negative 6 minus 5. I wonder if I have, no. Over 3 minus 2. Negative 6 minus 5 is negative 11. 3 minus 2 is a positive 1. So my final answer for the slope would be negative 11. For B, we'd have negative 8 minus 1 over negative 5 minus a negative 2. And we always want to put our negative numbers in parentheses because that will help us keep our negatives and our positives straight. If you don't put the parentheses there, you might miss a negative or you might miss a positive. Negative 8 minus 1 is negative 9. Negative 5 plus a positive 2 is negative 3. And I can simplify that and make it a positive 3 as my slope. Okay, so zero slope. We are finding the slope of the line that passes through the points negative 2, 4, and 2, 4. So I'm going to use my slope formula. I'm going to do 4 minus 4 over negative 2. It should be flipped, but that's fine. Negative 2 minus 2, which I get 0 over negative 4. Anything divided, or 0 divided by anything is just 0. So the slope of this line is 0. We are going to plot those 2 points, so negative 2 and 4 and 2, 4, and then draw a line through it. Everything, this type of line here is a horizontal line. So whenever you have 0 slope, you're going to have a horizontal line. Okay. Okay, so undefined slope. So we have the points 3, 2, and 3, -4. So again, we're going to plug that in to get our slope. -4 minus 2 over 3 minus 3. We get -6 over 0. Now, you cannot divide by 0. If you put it in your calculator, it's going to say error, cannot divide by 0. And that's just a math rule, you cannot divide by 0. So, because we can't divide by 0, whenever we have 0 in the denominator, it is called undefined, and you can abbreviate that as UND. So I'm going to plot those 2 points, and it ends up being a vertical line. So every time you have an undefined slope, your line is going to be vertical. Okay, so these are the 4 different types of slopes. Write these down on your notes. So this positive slope grows basically from left to right. Negative slope falls from left to right. And I kind of think of it as, okay, I'm going up the stairs for a positive slope. Negative slope, I'm going down a staircase. Zero slope is a horizontal line. You could walk across a line that has a 0 slope. An undefined slope, you can't walk across that. You would have to, like, obviously rock climb that if you wanted to get up that slope, okay? So make sure you write down all of those names. So we're on to the next page. Equations of lines. The slope-intercept form of an equation of non-vertical line is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So m is your slope, b is your y-intercept. Make sure to write that down on your notes, because you are going to need to know that. If you already know that, great. You should already know that. Okay, so the slope and y-intercept of the line y equals -5x plus 6. The slope always goes with your x, so the slope of this line is -5, and your y-intercept always is by itself. So it's 6 or 0, 6. So what I would suggest is you always write your y-intercept like that, because your y-intercept is an actual point on the y-axis. So what we first want to do is graph the y-intercept first, and that is always what we are going to do when we're graphing lines, if we have a y-intercept. So I'm going to graph my 0, 6 up here, and then my slope is -5, so I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then go to the right 1. Go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and go to the right 1. And then you draw your line in between those points. And obviously that's not perfect because I'm doing this on a computer, but that is what your line would look like. So you guys go ahead and try 1 and 2, or A and B rather. And then once you're done, you can look at the answers. So my first one, my y-intercept is at +3, and then my slope is -1 over 2. So I'm going to go down 1 to the right 2, down 1 to the right 2. And I always extend these as far as the graph will allow me to, just because you never know what kind of information you're going to need next, and then draw the line between those points. For B, my y-intercept is -3, and then my slope is +2. So I'm going to go up 2 to the right 1, 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 up 2 to the right 1. I can even come back down here and go down 2 to the left 1. And then I would draw in my line. Okay? Equations of the line given the slope and the y-intercept. These ones are the easiest questions you guys are going to come across. If you are given the slope, which is -3, and the y-intercept, which is 5, all you need to do is plug in your slope to m and plug in your y-intercept to b. So you'd have y equals -3x plus 5. You guys go ahead and do number 2 for A and B. So slope of 3, y-intercept of 6, you'd have y equals 3x plus 6. And this is a +6. This is a -5, so you'd have y equals 1/2 x minus 5. You could write it like this if you want, but it doesn't look as nice. Like put the -5 in parentheses, that's fine. But this one is how it should actually look mathematically. Okay, write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form that passes through points -4, -4, and 4, -2. So, first off, you find the slope. Plug it into your y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 and get your answer. So -2 minus a -4 is 2, and 4 minus a -4 is 8. So we end up getting 1/4 once we fully simplify that. Step 2 would be to plug in one of the points. So we usually do the one that has the least amount of negative numbers, just so you have less to deal with. If you have one that has, one negative number and the other one has no negative numbers, choose the one that has no negative numbers. Less mistakes can be made when we don't have negatives. So I'm going to plug in -2 for y, 1/4 for m, and 4 for the x, and solve for b. So I end up getting -2 equals 1 plus b, and then I subtract the 1 from both sides and get b equals -3. Then I want to substitute in the m and the b for my equation, y equals mx plus b. So I have y equals 1/4 x minus 3. Now, there is another way that you could do this, and I prefer this way, which is the point slope form. And that is just, so I'm still going to use this point, and I'm still going to use my m. But I'm going to plug it into this equation here, and then I don't have to do as much work and plug stuff in. So if I do that, I would have y minus a -2 equals 1/4 times x minus 4. And I would distribute this and then solve for y and get y by itself. So I'd end up having y plus 2 equals 1/4 x minus 1. And then I would subtract 2 from both sides, and I'd get y equals 1/4 x minus 3. And that's the same answer as what I got originally. I personally just like point slope form better because it's a little bit quicker and I don't have to remember to plug anything in at the end. So then go ahead and do the next two. They are on your next page. So pause the video and work on those, and then you can come back and get the answers here. So for this one, we have 3 and -4, and then -1 and 4 for the points. So my slope ends up being -2. This should be -3 and -4 there, not a 7. So plug in those values. So your y is -4, your m is -2, your x is 3, and solve for b. So b equals 2. Then you plug in your m, you plug in your b, and get your answer, which is y equals -2x plus 2. For the other one, you're going to do the same thing. M equals 10 minus a -4 over 3 minus a -4. 10 minus a -4, that changes to plus a positive. 3 plus a positive 4 is 7, so your slope is 2. And I'm going to choose this one here because, like I said, it's easier to do all positives instead of one negative, one positive, or all negatives. So, I'm using 310. So I'd have 10 equals 2 times 3 plus b. 2 times 3 is 6. And then if I subtract 6 from both sides, whoops, not that, -6, I get b equals 4. And then I just plug it into my equation. Y equals 2x plus 4. Okay, so now equations of horizontal and vertical lines. A horizontal line, they are always going to have a slope of 0. Okay, and if I look at some points on the horizontal line here, which is the red one, I have 2, 4, I have 3, 4, I have 5, 4, I have 0, 4, I have -2, 4. So every single y value there has the value of 4. which means that that line there, because every single y value is 4, the equation is going to be y equals 4. For my vertical line then, that's my blue one, they always have a slope of undefined, okay? And again, you can abbreviate that as UND, okay? If I look at the horizontal line, or the vertical line rather, so I have 2, 4, I have 2, 2, I have 2, 0, I have 2, -1. All of those points have the x value in common, which is 2. So if my horizontal line all had the y value of 4 in common and the equation was y equals 4, my x value, or my vertical line, is going to have the equation x equals 2. Now this is what you definitely want to write down. Horizontal lines always are always y equals a number, okay? Vertical lines are always x equals a number. So if you have, y equals 2x, that is not going to be a vertical line because it's not just a number by itself. It's not going to be a horizontal line because it's not just a number by itself. So for example, for the first one, y equals 5. So I always go to the number. So if I have y equals 5, I'm going to go to that 5 and I'm going to put a point there. Okay? Once I put that point there, then I can draw the line through that point. This is the equation that is given is in the form of a horizontal line with a y-intercept of 5. So I don't have a slope because, my slope is 0, so it would be 0x plus 5. 0 times x is just 0, it's nothing, so it's just y equals 5. The equation tells you that the y-coordinate of every point on the line is 5, which is true. So then go ahead and do these. Pause it so you can do those 3. I'm going to get moving on these, but number 2 is x equals 5. So here's where x equals 5. So I'm going to draw my line through. This is really bad because it's on a computer, but that would be my line for x equals 5. Now y equals 2x. I don't have a y-intercept here, and I don't have a y-intercept for 4, right? So if there's nothing written there, we can assume that the y-intercept is going to be 0. Okay, for both of those. So the y-intercept is 0. Now this is my slope, so I'm going to go up 2 over 1. Up 2 over 1. Up 2 over 1. Then I'm going to come back to my y-intercept and go down 2 to the left 1. Down 2 to the left 1, down 2 to the left 1. And then that would be my line there. For 4, my slope is, my y-intercept is 1, and because there's no number here, it's just assumed that the slope is 1. So up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1 throughout the whole entire graph. You can come back to your y-intercept and then go down 1 to the left 1. And then draw your line. Write equations of the lines through the following points. So these ones I want you guys to try on your own, and then come back and check your answers with mine once you're done. So for number 1, the slope is 8 minus 5 over 3 minus 2, which would be 3 over 1, which is 3. When you plug that in, your answer should be y equals 3x minus 1. If you did not get that as your answer, go back and check your work. The slope for the next one, -3 minus a -3. Notice how I put that in parentheses. That would change to plus a positive. We'd have 0 over 5. If the slope is 0, okay, I know that I'm going to deal with my y values. So the equation of this line has to be y equals -3 because that is the y values that are given in those points. Okay, m equals 4 minus a -8 over 2 minus a -1. Both those would change to plus a positive, so I would have 12 over 3, which is 4. When I plug this into my equation, I end up getting y equals 4x minus 4. For number 4, I have 4 minus 0 over 4 minus 0. 4 minus 0 for both of those is just 4, and 4 divided by 4 is 1. So if I were to plug this into my equation, I would have, 1x plus 0, which would just be y equals x. Make sure that you do the homework on the back page. That is just on the back page of this note packet. Do all of the questions and then upload it to Canvas once you are done. Okay, have a good day.